In this video, I'll give you 3 design tips to actually make shirts that sell. I'll break everything down into simple steps, and the first and most important part about this is research. If you're new here, my name is Andreas. I've done over $1 million in revenue in less than 3 years as an Etsy print-on-demand seller from Sweden. In that same time frame, I've also done about $240,000 on Amazon Merch on Demand as a side gig from Etsy, which was my main focus. So, to just get right into it. The first and most important thing about this whole process is research. And to just start off, the shirts that we're gonna sell is the Vela Canvas 3001 from Printify here. I've sold a ton of these shirts myself, and I've also tested out the Gildan 64,000s through Printify, but I've just settled on Vela 3001s, and they work the best for me. So these are those shirts that we're gonna sell. And the first thing when it comes to the whole research part, to just fast track this, I have a whole niche research video if you want to see that. You can find that in this video right here. But to fast track it, I'll show you like the gist of that video. What we'll do here is just shirts for t-shirts. So give a really broad Etsy keyword term here in search. We go to filters, and then since I live in Sweden, I gotta make sure that this says ship to the US, because my target market is the US. And to make sure that the results aren't skewed, we gotta make sure that it says ships to the US. So if you live abroad like me, just make sure that this says ship to the US. Then you scroll up, physical items, you toggle on the star seller filter. Then you swap out star for best in the search bar. This way, you basically just see the best sellers for a given keyword. And now I only see that for the given keyword t-shirt, which is really, really big. What we want to do now at this stage is to just basically look at these small counts here, these small numbers here. This is the review count for the specific shop. We want to find 5 to 10 shops that are huge, kind of like this one that has 50,000 reviews. This one also has over 50,000 reviews, so this one too. This one has 15,000, could also be good. So really huge shops basically. And the easiest way to just see that is through the review count. And once we have found about 5 to 10 shops, the most important thing is to just click Analyze Shop here, and then see when did they start. This shop started in 2020, but they also have 235,000 sales. So, and also, sorry, a lot of this will be blurred because I don't want to out any of my fellow Etsy sellers. But if we just take that and just say 235,804 divided by 4, that's about 58,000 like shirts a year, which is crazy. That's a lot of sales. But let's see that we want to download this backend data, because this is the results that we want to have. We want to be like this shop, have this many sales and do this much a year. This is a lot of sales to do per year. But let's say that that's our goal. So yeah, what you do here is that you click Analyze Shop, like I did here, and then you just click Export. What this does is that it gives us the backend data for the shop in a CSV file on email. We will do this for every shop that we found that we want to be like. The main metric to always go after, that's so important to not skew the results here, is to find shops that has been successful, like in this case, this was a real outlier. I took this as an exception, because this one started in 2020 and it's almost 5 years old. We're at the end of 2024 when I'm recording this. But let's see here, 235,804 divided by 5. Yeah, that's almost 50,000 like sales a year, which is crazy. So that's a lot of sales per year. Over $1 million shop per year. The main thing to take away is to just look at the amount of sales that they have. It shouldn't be too old. I usually like give a 1 to 3 year time frame, but since this one has had such huge success, I think there's a lot of things that we can learn from it to really get good at it, to just implement ourselves in our own shops, which is why I would choose this. But it's really important to be picky about the shops that you actually download their data from, because otherwise the results will be skewed and your results will be skewed because of it. So it's really important to make sure that the shops fits the criteria that you want to set. I usually say that they should hit like at least 20,000 sales like within a year would be my like criteria that I usually set to have like as a bar for real quality shops. But you have to set this yourself to make sure that they hit the sales targets that you want to hit in a perfect world, so you have good data to take from. But all in all, you want 5 to 10 shops like this. And after that, you basically download their backend data, and then you go and insert each of these files into a Google Sheets file. Once you have done that, then you will have basically 5 to 10 different Google Sheets. You will take the information from all of those Google Sheets and insert them, just copy and paste them and insert them all into one and the same Google Sheet file. I've done so here, so this video won't take too long. But all of the shops are basically inside of this specific master list that I have. Go here, you press Command A and then Command A again. If you're on a Windows, this is probably Control A and then Control A again. Then you press Data and then create a filter. After that, you press estimated total sales and you sort C to A. This basically gives us the projected estimated total sales for each listing in this shop, sorted just by the most popular listing, which is really, really powerful because it just fast tracks the whole niche research and design research process for us. So this is the way that I do it. It's really, really simple. Now, what we want to do at this stage is that we want to create a best-selling elements list. So what do I mean by that? Well, I've taken out basically a couple of listings from the master list here. So all of these are from the master list, and we want to just analyze and see what elements in design is actually making this sell really well. So let's see here. First off, I just go to notes. I use notes a lot. So best selling elements list. Okay, let's see here. So this one is a spooky. This one says this is like a gardening funny shirt, funny farmer shirt, basically. Funny like book shirt, just a sarcastic shirt. Basically here, this is a Christmas shirt, a really simple one. This is a dog mom shirt. This is a dad joke shirt. And this is a Christmas skeleton shirt. Now, what can we actually see that are common denominators within these listings? The main thing that I saw is that all of these have like a grungy vibe to it. This one has like kind of a retro grungy vibe to it. This one definitely has it with like the grungy text. So that's what this has. This one has it on the dog paw. This one does not have it. This one does not have it. This one definitely has it in the books. It's like an old vintage grungy vibe, so to speak. This one too had it in the font. So basically the vibe here is retro / grungy. And this is both in the font and in the design itself. Like an old retro grungy vintage vibe on this. Same here with this, kind of an old retro vibe on the whole letters here. What else can we see with these listings that are common denominators? Well, all of them are really simple, honestly. Super simple, like text-based designs with really just text and maybe an element to it. So we can just write up simple text-based. All these are just basically text and with some like element or so. Let's see here if we can see if there's any more common denominators. This one is a cursive font. I've talked a lot about this on my channel, but cursive font is a really popular element to have in your listings. But that was the only one really. Apart from that, it's just standard block fonts are really, really popular, it seems. So what we can do here, I didn't find this, like usually you want more listings like this to just analyze from. But I've seen this one is one type of design that I've seen just so much, like with this whole rainbow here in the background. I've seen this so much since I started POD. Let's see if we can make something with this. I'll put this here in the banned books thing. Let's see if we can do a retro grunge, like a retro grungy vibe with like this kind of font in the banned books, but also to add some more value proposition to this, I would also add one more variable that's I think is really important to have now, like in 2025 and onwards with print on demand, and that's personalization. Let's see if we can make a personalized version of this, because plus that also has a retro grungy vibe with this kind of font. But I think it's really important to add another element to this, because if you see here, this one actually has a personalization element to it. But basically you can personalize it in some kind of way. This one has a personalization option that you can just change it a bit. This one too has a personalization option. Since I've done this so much, I just know that this is almost not a requirement, but it's really important to have this nowadays in POD. So personalization is something that would add as a really important thing to this to make myself stand out in the niche. If we just basically go a bit more into the niche itself and just search for banned books shirt here, and then we do the same thing, physical items, star seller, ship, and then swap out star for best in the search bar. Okay, we want to add a retro grungy vibe with a personalization element into the niche itself. But first, before we even do that, it's just important to know one thing when it comes to this, and that's that we actually gotta make sure that we add value to the niche. And that just means in and of itself that like the idea that you want to add into the niche shouldn't already be there. So there shouldn't be a personalized listing with a retro grungy vibe inside the books niche here, for instance. So I said basically that we want to combine like this kind of font Maybe even add this kind of like rainbow retro grungy background to it. That's just been popular overall since I started POD. But most importantly, this font maybe like the rainbow here in the background, and a personalization element with the banned books niche. But first we're gonna see if there's anything like that. So because we want to add value to the niche by adding something that isn't already there. That's really important. This one has a rainbow, which is really good, but there's no one basically that has this kind of idea in it, it seems. So we will add this into the niche. But before we do even anything close to designing, we will check for trademarks. So let's see here if we can just see what it was with the band. Let's see here. Is there a trademark for this word? No trademarks. And with the banned books, no trademark for "I'm with the banned books." Okay, perfect. So we will make a design that says "I'm with the band." And to do that, we need basically a retro font. We need, as I mentioned, a retro grungy like rainbow in the background. And then we need a retro font. So we'll just search for retro grungy font. I usually use Creative Fabrica for this. There's a link in the description if you want to support the channel, if you want to use that. But let's see here. Let's just search for grungy font instead. Or maybe it's better to just search for vintage font. Yes, something like this. And it's really important that you have the right licenses. So this says commercial usage allowed, which is really good. Really need that. So now we have basically the vintage retro font here. Apart from that, we need a retro or vintage sunset. Perfect, we need something like this. Commercial and full POD usage allowed, that's perfect. And now we need some vintage books. Let's see here. We want it to have that kind of grainy texture to it. So let's see here if we can find that here. Let's see if we can search for vintage paperbacks, maybe. Let's go back to vintage books. Let's sort this by graphics. And again, it's really important that they have this retro grungy texture to it, because that was a really important element that we found when we did the best-selling elements list. So let's search for retro instead of vintage. Here we go. That's perfect. That's really perfect. We'll use something like that. Okay, now we have all the elements. Now we'll get to designing. So I use Canva for this. I always use a custom, let's see here, add new design. Create new. I always use 4500 by 5400 and dimensions from all of my designs. Let's add this here. Here is the PNG. It has kind of that retro grungy vibe, I feel, but more with like a watercolor vibe. This is like the retro sunset that we found. A similar one, not obviously the exact one, but a similar one with the kind of the same vibe. We'll use this one as long as it fits. Maybe something like that. Let's see if there's any other. We want more contrast with this because I just felt that they kind of blend together. So let's see if this one is better. Let's take this one instead. See if that one is better. Not really, not really. The problem that I'm finding with this that I think is really important to have contrast so that the actual like design is clear in and of itself. So let's first just take this one and just make sure that it looks good on black and white and not just white backgrounds. So let's try this one again. I actually like this one. I changed my mind. I tried this one before, and didn't think that it would work, but I think I like this one. Okay, so let's have something like this. And now we want to add the text layer. To do that, I just press T, and then I go to here, and then I press upload font. Now, to upload fonts and use that, you need Canva Pro. I really recommend using Canva Pro for this. So let's see here. Okay, and this should say, "I'm with the band," in all caps, I think. Like this, and the font was called Restoration, right? Sometimes Canva just gives me problems, so we'll just have to upload this again, see if that works. Okay, so this was called PS Restoration. Okay, so now we basically have the outline of the design itself. This is how I would add value to the niche. But the last part of the equation here is that we want to add a personalization element. Let's say that this says Eleanor. Because we want to make simple designs, but we want to add a personalization element to actually stand out in the niche itself. And then when we actually like put this as like on top of a shirt on Etsy, we can just add the personalization just like these guys did here. Let's see. This one has it required. This one had it as an option, and this one too had it as an option. If it's just optional, they don't have to add a name. But if they would want to add a name, they could do so by just entering it in the personalization. And this is actually how I would stand out in doing designs, because these are the three main variables when actually doing design. It's research, it's making a best-selling elements list, and then it comes to the designing based on those best-selling elements itself. And we did that by adding a retro grungy vibe here. We found that through our master list in this one, like this one had the sunrise. And then we also found that one of the most common elements was that they were all like really grungy. So we added like the vintage vibe to this too, on all of this. And a lot of them had this kind of like vintage retro font too. And we used that in the listing itself. So this would be our design that we would add into like in the specific niche here for the banned books. And there are no listings that looks exactly like this one does here. Plus we have the personalization element to really make it stand out in the niche itself. When we did the research, and if I just skim through this, there aren't really that many listings that has a personalization element to it, which will also be like that's another layer that will help us stand out from the competition itself to really make things work. And in 2025, I think it's really important to just make sure that to add a personalization element to a lot of listings. In my own experience, I just found that it just converts better when there is a personalization element to the listing itself. All right, so if you like this video, then I suggest watching this video right here too. It goes more in depth into the actual like niche research design process. I went through it a bit here in this video, and I mentioned it earlier too. If you watch that video here, you'll just have a much better overview and a grasp of how to actually do niche research, because I just went through it kind of fast here. But if you watch that, I think it'll help a lot with your approach in doing this. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.